Hello and welcome to the making of the park. So in this one, I went to Balboa Park, um, and I recorded just sort of, I guess, the wildlife and sort of what the people were doing and stuff like that. Mainly, I ended up using some rhythm-based samples and a lot of like ducks and birds, but I'll sort of explain their uses as we go on. So I'm just going to walk you through a little bit of the patterns. These are all the ideas, so I didn't really delete anything, but I don't necessarily use all of these patterns, and I'll explain why and all that stuff as well. First off, let's just take a look at patterns. How many patterns do I have? I have a lot of patterns, so we'll go pretty quick. So this is the first pattern, this. So as you can hear, it's sort of like a housey rhythm, housey melody. And I played around with tempo up here at first, but I originally had it slower, but then where it ended up at was just, this is the, I guess, default like electronic house rhythm, and it sort of fit that way. It worked the best. So again, the point, this is a project that I'm doing for school, and it's that I have to make songs only using real recordings, and none of it is actual instruments. But by doing this, it just allows for different creativity and different like tones of sounds. Like, yeah, it may sound like something, but there's not going to be sound exactly like that because it's almost impossible just to recreate or make in any program. So let's walk through this a little bit. I'm just going to copy this so I don't mess up anything. And we're just going to make it so it has no channel. And I think this was a bird, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm trying to find that one. It's that. So that actually is a bird sound, and it's just one single chirp. So what I did, and since it has higher frequencies, I'm not gonna make it like a bass sound with lower tones. It's easier just to make it sort of like higher sounds and higher melodies. So that's kind of where it came from, because it has nicer frequencies. But then, as you saw, I used it to make a bass tone. So let me explain a little bit what this program is. So this program lets me throw any sound in here, like any, because these are just all the sound recordings here, the waveforms and stuff. So it lets me put the waveform inside this program, and like basically it just recreates the movement of each frequency as best it can. So what I did here is this little red area is just the points that I want to use, because there's a little bit before that I did not want to use, just because it was kind of just noise and it wasn't actually a tone. And then I just cut it off so it was easier to work with, because short sounds are easier to work with. So we have that, and so that this little box is the looping, like the loop points. default it's on here, so if I hold this it'll keep going. But that's kind of annoying, so I set it to one shot, so when you hold the key down, it won't keep repeating. And then, so the first thing, if you bring up the scale, it either increases or decreases the sharpness of the tone. So if you bring it all the way up, you have the actual tones that are highlighted. If you bring it down, the noise part of it is more defined. So I bring it up so we have the tone, because that's what we're looking for. The next thing I did was I changed the C, and what this does is it changes the speed. So as you can see, it slows down how fast it plays through. So if I go here, it does that sort of thing. But if you change the pitch, since we have the higher tones, you get a clear sound. So if we can get the low sounds that are super clear, and they end up being like bass sort of sounds, which is super helpful because pianos or any tones like that are super easy to make melodies with, like that. So I did that. Then what I do is this pluck changes sort of the cutoff of the volume. So if I drag it down, it becomes like shorter and more, music terms, staccato. So that's what that does. This is the timbre, which is sort of like the characteristic of the sound. So like if I go here, you don't really notice it that much, but I just know if it's a square, because that's what this is. It's sort of a square. This one's a sawtooth, so this is a square. It'll take out a lot of just the background noise, just because it oscillates between the 2 points. This one kind of keeps 2 points because of the angle of the shape. So if you do this, it instantly becomes more workable. But before this was a bird, and now it's lower pitch. So if we make it normal pitch again, it's almost like a bell sound. Like that. Then, what I did was I turned the reverb on, so when you do this, it holds out and it's sort of like an echo. I did a little bit of EQing, so I boosted this is the low tones, so I boosted the low tones, and I just kind of made it louder overall. Let's see what this one is. This one I kind of took out this frequency because it had it's just noise, and I had this weird click, so I just took that out because I wanted the actual tone. And I added even more reverb to it to just give it that nice long delay. But as you saw, I didn't actually use this tone because, as you see, it sort of makes this, it doesn't fit in this song. Let's see what else there is. This is also a different bird sound, because I just recorded different ones. The other one was a short bird sound, this one was like a longer chirp, but they're practically the same, as you saw. And I did sort of the same things as I did in the other sound. And these were my initial ideas. So I was gonna go like that, because originally I was gonna start making a genre called tropical house, and it kind of has that rhythm, but it's usually slower than that. So once I increased it, this melody didn't work that much. So that's why I didn't use that really in the track, but I used some stuff that was inspired by it. So with this, these are drums. And so I know what you're thinking. It's like, oh, that's like a nice drum sample. How did you get that? Well, at the park, there are these things in the play structure, and they are basically drums. So I took that, but they're not really a drum. It's sort of like just a metal tub thing that that could be used as drums. So that was kind of a lucky like recording chance, and so I used that to make drums, and that's where I think all the drums come from. So really it already has so much low frequencies, so it's easy to make a bass out of that. That's why it became this, because it was already low, so I made a bass out of it. Because if you start raising up the pitch, it doesn't really work anymore. So one thing I want to point out, I just recreated sound. It holds out their frequency for longer. As you can see, it doesn't slower, so it goes a little slower. And so it ends up sort of like a string instrument almost. It had so much character to it. And so this is the same tone. So I didn't change the pitch on this one. This is when it's things. So this sound, I'm gonna play this part. So you can hear that vocal thing. That actually is it is a vocal. It was some little kid. I know you're not thinking it's a little kid, but as you can hear, it was a little kid. And the good thing about this, he was so close to my phone when I was recording that the sample was super clean and there wasn't a lot of digital noise. And he was calling his like little brother, Pardo or something. And this part is just the do part because it was such like a tone. And you see, it just easily it came. So then I just followed the key that I was in, because when I make songs, I just pick a key and see where we go from there, unless I have an idea already, and that's sort of my workflow. But this helped like choose my key in a way, because there were certain sounds that it was just so nice at that point that I had to use it. but it needed to fit with the rest of my song. So what I actually did was that I chose that key based around that. Within my song. So I used 2 different keys. So I used a minor key, which is C sharp. You see it has these notes, right? If we can open the other one at the same time. So what you notice is that these are 2 different keys. This is a major, E major, and this is C sharp minor. What you can see is that all the notes are the same. The reason I did this is the way my brain works when it's in a minor key, like when you have a minor chord. So a C minor chord means you have this, because we don't have C, or it's C sharp minor, sorry. You take the C sharp, which is this note, and then you go up 3 for minor. So you go sharp, D, E sharp, D, D sharp, D, right? And so you see how that's your third. So when you move 3 notes, that's your third, like that, when you're in minor. To fill out the minor chord, from the E, you go to F, F sharp, G, G sharp. So you go 4 semitones up. That's your minor chord. And you can see it's sort of dark and spooky, right? And if we get our major scale, when we get to a major scale, instead of from C sharp to E, we go from C sharp to F. But work as you can F. So we have to go to F sharp. That would be in our scale. And then so from F sharp we go 1, 2, 3, which is the A. You can see it's sort of a happier tone than that. So when you have major keys, it makes sort of happier tones. The parts that I wanted to sound upbeat and happier, I had the major key, but then this beginning part is in a minor key, and it's darker only because when I was at the park, part of this was like sort of the appreciation of the world that I live in, and I was sort of sad to see that there was like just trash and stuff, and it didn't look as clean, and I just felt bad, so it started off dark. The song starts off like dark. Because once I explored the park, I was happy to see how much life was that there is, and how like so many good things there was other than just all like the bad stuff. So it was sort of a thematic use for those keys. The main the catchy thing is this. So that was a kid, and he said, "Ooh, hoverboard." Took my hoverboard to the park to record, and so we pointed that out. But it was, I don't know, just a fun, happy setting. So I put that in there, and I just put some delay on it, which is like where it repeats and it echoes out. And you see and then, so my main idea was I wanted a tropical house sort of reggae thing, and the reggae part was the hard part. I never made reggae before, so when I get here, you start hearing the ducks in the background. This is just straight recording. I didn't do anything to these sounds. I think I just made it a little louder, but that's it. And you can see the reggae. patterns in one and goes and goes and shows everything, and then so then it sort of slows down. And one by one, things go away. So. And it ends like this. So mainly, I want to go over this this pattern. This pattern is drums. So you may like, oh, you said you weren't going to use any real instruments. What the heck was that? But so what this is I actually combined, like I said, remember I had those drums that sounded like bongos. What I did was I took out a lot of frequencies, which gives it a tone, and I took those out, but with an EQ. I don't actually have that part anymore, but I could demonstrate really quick. Basically what I did is I have our sound, right? And so these are the high tones. I sort of did this in a way where I took out actually I kept this one here. But I took out these middle, like, higher frequencies to take some of the tone out, and then it brings out sort of the kick drum sound. And then because when you record on your phone, it doesn't necessarily keep everything at the highest quality possible. So then what I did is these are the bass tones, so these are and I increased these. Around this point, that's where it starts to become more of like a punchy sound. You feel it, like hear it out in speakers. So I raised, and then I rendered out that one sound. And then what I did is that one rendered sound, I put it back in here, and I did it was a longer. This is the out point, so this is originally, and so you can hear that sound comes back again. But if you make it shorter, it doesn't play that whole sample, and shorter, and it sounds like a kick drum again, right? I dropped the pitch. I think I dropped the. So I dropped the pitch because up here it just sounded too high to me personally. So I dropped it. That one's dropped really low just to fill out some of the lower frequencies of this, so that's why they both play at the same time, because it gives it that. The shortens the sound. So that's what I did there. So what I did. So what I was doing with this is, so this is actually a real hi-hat sound. I didn't actually use it. I was just how to make. I did. So I modeled it. These were all string moving, and so it would. These higher sounds there. Give it some of that wording, not as this one's the real word of is actually skateboarding over the cracks, and just that sound was a higher frequency, so I turned that into a snare.